A group of landlords are fed up with anti landlord legislation in New York State, and they are rallying and protesting against it. I'm Tony, and this is Real Estate Investing and Landlord News. All right, so I have an interesting article for you today, and it's going over the protests that landlords up in New York, particularly small landlords, are having against this good cause eviction nonsense. I know I'm beating you to death with good cause because this is coming. This is coming to every city, every state across the country eventually. This is the big thing they're pushing for. You know, they're pushing for this, they're pushing for rent control. They want to take away our property rights and make it as difficult for us to run a business as possible because they don't think that we offer anything to the tenant. They think we're just collecting rents and not offering them a good value for what we're providing. And the truth of the matter is, we're providing housing. We're providing housing in good shape, in good condition. We're doing all the maintenance for these people. We're making the big purchases, the big investments that a lot of people can't afford so that they have somewhere nice to live. So when I go out there and I buy a nice house or a nice apartment building, guess what? When I keep it in good shape, they have somewhere to live and they didn't have to come up with $100,000 in order to purchase the place, or put a down payment on the place. So, I think that's a good trade off. I really do. Now, are there bad actors out there? There's a very small number, and I'm talking about very small, 1% or less of all landlords are, bad actors, in my opinion. That means that the overwhelming majority of us are doing everything right. That's why good cause eviction laws are not necessary. The only thing they're doing is punishing the 99% who are doing everything right, while that 1%, they don't give a crap. They're going to be doing things wrong, whether there's a law in place saying it's illegal or not. Okay, so yeah, I'm with these. I want to support these landlords who are out there protesting because you know what, we have to have our voices heard as well. We're people just like everyone else, especially as small landlords. A lot of us are middle class. We're not the super wealthy people that they think of when they think of landlords. There are plenty of them who own just one house, or they live in a duplex and they live in one side and they're renting out the other. This is the story of a lot of small landlords, and this is why I make these videos all the time. So before I get into the article, go ahead, hit the like and subscribe button, maybe leave a comment down below, and let me know what you think. Would you, as a landlord, go out and protest for landlord rights? Would you go out there and protest for property rights? Will you go down to the city council meeting and let them know exactly what you think of their ridiculous laws? Are you willing to take the heat from a bunch of tenant groups who think that we are villains and let the truth be known about who we truly are? I am. I make these videos every day. And believe me, a lot of people don't like the things I'm saying. So, you have to be able to stand up and let people know that, hey, we are real people. We are running businesses just like other business owners, and we deserve to make a profit. And there's nothing wrong with that. And we shouldn't have to put up with bad tenants who treat us like we are their piggy bank. So, anyway, let's get into this article. This article is coming from therealdeal.com, and it says, good cause eviction blasted by Chinese landlords, but backed by unions. Owners already struggling with non-paying tenants take issue with progressives. Yeah, and basically these big union groups that have nothing to do with running a property, have no clue about running a business, guess what? They're protesting, saying that we need this sort of eviction protections for tenants. And I'm like, what is this? How does this involve you? None of you work for landlords. This is ridiculous. So, to me, it's kind of like the Humane Society, the people who take care of stray animals coming out and saying, oh, you know what? We are opposed to eviction. Like, what does the Humane Society have to do with the evictions? Basically, these groups, they have nothing to do with evictions overall, but they are interfering with these businesses, just like how they run the businesses that they work for out of business, right? They demand too high. Listen, I'm going to stop right now because I can go on rants about how much I dislike unions too. So let's read this article and see what it says. Activist Chinese landlords are emerging as a critical voice against good cause eviction. The landlords have protested regularly against tenant protection measures. The city reported as good cause backers push for it to be included in the state budget, which is supposed to be enacted by April 1st. Supporters of good cause, meanwhile, added two unions to their roster of backers, which last year numbered 14, to no avail. The new additions are the Retail, Wholesale, and Department Store Union and the United Federation of Teachers, City and State. Yeah, a bunch of garbage unions. Okay, so what are department store owners? What does that have to do with a person being evicted? Let me ask you this, right? So, are you saying that a landlord should be forced to house these people, whether they want them there or not? I mean, for real, this is what you're. I take offense at these unions because, like I said, they have nothing to do with this topic. Simply put, they need to mind their own business. Either that, or I am going to go down there and then protest against their union at their grocery store, even though I have nothing to do with what's going on in grocery stores. Okay, mind your own business. That's what I always say. Stop trying to punish others. And what it really comes down to is unions are a bastion of socialism, and they believe that socialist policies should rule, they should dictate everything. And by that measure, they hate landlords, they hate free markets, they hate capitalism, and they want the government to own everything and control everything. And I can't, it doesn't surprise me one bit that they're supporting this sort of ridiculous legislation. Good cause bills that have been stalled for 2 years in the Senate and Assembly would give tenants a defense against eviction in housing court if rent is raised by more than 3% or 1.5 times the regional inflation rate, whichever is higher. It would also limit evictions for reasons other than non payment and destructive behavior. So, reading that, right, it says that it would limit evictions. It would give them a defense against eviction if landlords raise their rent more than 3%. Pay attention to that because this is backdoor rent control. Now, right now, New York already has rent control policies in place, but they're for larger apartment buildings. But this would cover even single family homes. That's why this is scary. Imagine rent control covering every property that's for rent in the entire state. And there's nothing that landlords would be able to do about it. So this didn't pass last year, fortunately, but this is a new year, and every year things become worse for landlords. But small landlords don't want to lose their ability to remove a tenant who no longer has an active lease. Some fear good cause would give tenants another way to use the system to their advantage, as some did by applying for non existent rent aid to get eviction protection despite not paying rent. The ramifications of the Emergency Rental Assistance Program are still being felt by owners, although the application portal closed this year. Some small landlords would not be affected by good cause as it exempts owner occupied buildings with 3 units or fewer. So, yeah, it exempts a very, very small number of landlords. Owner occupied buildings. Now, the grand majority of landlords, even in New York State, don't live in the buildings that they own. That's just the truth. Okay. Now, yeah, there's more in like major cities such as New York City, right? There's going to be more who actually live in that building. But, I know so many landlords who live across the street from their properties or a few blocks away or a few miles away. And they're able to maintain their properties, even if it's just a single family home or a single duplex. They're able to maintain their properties just fine. They're still local. There's no issues. They're not big conglomerates who own thousands of units just because they live 2 blocks over and not inside that building.